Cyril Ramaphosa is due to respond to questions from members of parliament this afternoon. This comes days after he noted the outrage caused by recent reports on corruption. Ramaphosa says the anger of South Africans towards the ruling party is justified. But now he has to face opposition parties. Will the president be able to save face today? And as I introduced earlier, let's speak to Mngambi. He's a political analyst and, of course, a researcher at the University of Nelson Mandela. That's in Port Elizabeth. Mr. Mngambi, thank you very much for your time. The president has come in for heavy criticism lately, and it's got to do with him talking more and acting less. My question to you, what kind of reception is he likely to get from Parliament today?
Good morning, Xoli and your viewers. Thank you for having me this morning. The nation is desperate to see results. We are a country that is prone now to claiming easy victories as far as the leadership is concerned. And if you look at the president's letter, for example, one of the things that he highlights as having been successes of his presidency is changes in leadership in these institutions that are meant to bring to ensure law enforcement. So while that we celebrate that, I think it's time that the president recognize that input is not equal to outcome. So we desperately need some outcome. So I hope he's going to be answering the questions of the parliamentarians with specific results, not just what is being done about things with no results at all.
And you speaking about specific results, opposition parties likely to have a field day asking crucial questions around the PPE tender corruption allegations. And this goes right up to his office, unfortunately, with his spokesperson now on a leave of absence. That's also related to these PPE tenders. My question to you, will he face up to the stench, or is he likely to take the usual line of innocent until proven guilty?
So I think that the president, first of all, anticipates this. The public pressure that has come as a result of this corruption has driven him to write that letter to the ANC. So he does expect this, and I think he was going to come very prepared to answer the tough questions that are going to come in from opposition parties. But I think that he has got to get rid of this idea that input is equal to results. So he's going to need to talk to specific cases in which action is being, taken. So, for example, among some of the questions are questions around the capacity of the SIU and how that ties in with the process to have ministers lead another process, whether it's in support of the SIU or not, it was not solicited. So I think that as part of the response, which you can expect, the line of questioning that you think is going to be, the order of the day today, he's got to come prepared to answer very specific questions and be able to talk to for example, the issue around the capacity of the SIU and what has been achieved so far. Yeah.
Then there's the pressing issue of trying to revive an economy that's weighed down by the coronavirus pandemic and ballooning debt. Has his government managed to sell to South Africans a credible resuscitation plan?
So far, there's been a promising plan, but it has failed to the scale of it has failed to convince the various stakeholders, being labor, business, as well as ordinary society, around the extent to which it matches up to the challenge that we face. So we have seen different projections being made, with the latest, for example, being by the Reserve Bank, and the UN, for example, expecting South Africa not to recover for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's important that we have a stimulus package that looks real. Among some of those things, Xoli, is not this approach which is too concentrated on big business. I think we must have the discussion around basic income grant in South Africa, whereas we are seeing that the economy, as we have seen develop over the past 500 years, is failing, especially around this notion of full employment. This doesn't seem to be something that's likely to be achieved. So if people's alternative livelihoods are threatened by a number of things, and also they cannot get jobs, and the education system doesn't deliver outcomes where people are empowered enough to live independently, then you have to factor in and consider things like basic income grant, especially if you consider the fact that there's a lot of work that is needed which municipalities have no budgets for. Things like, for example, mass cleaning, basic level health response in communities, as well as levels of cleanliness in communities. There are opportunities, but we need to start rethinking about some of the things that we've taken for granted as key features of the capitalist system. Among them, the false idea that there can be full employment.
All right, Mngambi, thank you very much for your time, sir. He is the political analyst talking to us here on the Coffee Chat ahead of the appearance of the President at the National Assembly for question time this afternoon.